And action.
Ow! Hey, it's Kevin and Fred. Do you have a referral for us here in Phoenix? There are 30,000 agents here that you could send them to. Why us? Well, for one thing, we'll keep you updated and you'll never have to track down your commission.
We'll also make you look really good to your client. And best of all, it helps us keep all this content free. So go to kevinandfred.com/referral to make the introduction. We'll take great care of them.
All right, guys, we're back with the Kevin and Fred show, and this week joined by my good friend, Andrew Franklin. Andrew, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, man, going well, man. I've been listening to the podcast for a while, and I'm glad we could figure out a time where I could be on. So thanks for having me.
And me too, man. I thought I was going to have to twist your arm super hard. Like I was afraid I was going to break it there for a minute, but you finally agreed to join me on the podcast, man. So I'm super, super excited to do that. So number one, because you and I have gotten to talk so much over the last couple of years, but it's, it's always conversational. We're going back and forth. A lot of times you and I are talking about stuff that we're working on together or just different pieces of business. But this time I get to sort of like put you in the hot seat. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited too, man. Thanks for having me, and I know you won't pull any punches, so ask away.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hey, let's start with this, if you don't mind, Andrew. Like, give us the overview for the couple people who maybe don't know. Like, and one thing I want to point out, like, because Andrew is super not braggadocious. This is like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I can say this about him because we're friends, not just on the internet, but in real life. And I've seen his business up close and personal. I've been able to watch it continue to just grow and grow. And so, I'm excited for other people to learn about this. Andrew, give us the overview about your business. Like, I'd love to know, like, how long have you been in the business? You've got a unique story, which I'd love for you to kind of share how you got into the business as well. And then we'll kind of move into like production and how you guys get that business, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our story is unique because it's a very family-driven business. It was, for me personally, I was never going to be in real estate, and started my career in finance, working on Wall Street. But my dad started in real estate, got laid off job, and pregnant with my sister who's older than me, or my mom was pregnant with my sister, and he decided to give real estate a try in the early 80s, and started his career at Century 21, and then started to do pretty well pretty early, and 3 years after that he was with Remax and there for 32 years, and he figured out a niche. His niche was the builder world. So when we bought the company about 7 years ago, he was doing, and he was still in production with only 3 or 4 agents, and then probably a staff of 4 or 5. So 10, 12 people about 6 or 7 years ago when we purchased the business, doing about 500, 600 units, 150 million. And so 7 years ago, I decided that I wanted to be back in Texas and was getting burnt out on working on Wall Street, doing all mergers and acquisitions. And, my sister was already working with the business for a while. And me, her, and one other partner bought the business from my dad. He's still involved and still active with us. But now the business has grown both from people and numbers. So we probably have close to 20 producing agents now, 35-ish people, and we'll do 1,500 transactions for about 500 million this year.
1,500 transactions for about 500 million. Wow. Okay. There's a lot to dissect there. One of the things I want to talk about, so you referenced it, but I want to point it out. So your sister, and you guys have one other partner, bought the business from your dad. And so, first of all, how's that, what was that like to actually, number one, come in with partners? And then did your dad so if anybody knows Andrew's dad, he's like one of the coolest guys to be around, but like, did Jimmy just say like, cool, I'm going to cash your check and ride off into the sunset? Or like, what was that whole process like, especially for you coming from Wall Street, actually dealing in mergers and acquisition? Did I say murders? Mergers and acquisitions. What was that experience like for you, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally different than selling a company where the relationships and the reputation are a big part of the business. And so when we were talking about this transition, it wasn't going to be a transition of us buy it and him forget about us. Our dad is one of my best friends, if not my best friend, and my sister and him are super close. And so we knew he was going to be around to help us with some of those relationships, but we had no idea if what we were going to pay him, because we structured it over a seller note with no money down, monthly payment. And he didn't know if that monthly payment that he wanted to have would hurt the business. Would we be able to survive with that kind of monthly payment? And so we put in our agreement that we could change the terms. He could come back if we were screwing it up or if he needed to come back. So we didn't really know where it was going to go. Since he was in production and at the time we took over, the three partners were also in production. We knew that we could do our own production within the team and still be okay, but we didn't know if the business was going to thrive with that monthly payment that we structured. And you know, it's been amazing for us. We get a fourth partner in my dad there, and he helps us with a ton of relationships that we've built over the years, and we can go over what those relationships mean to our business and how we've structured our business around those relationships. But you know, we pay them monthly, and that payment has gone down over time. And but it's been a vehicle where we could really scale the business with him being there, but him not worrying about the day-to-day, you know, worrying about where we grow, where we spend our money. He probably could have structured it with a lot heavier of a payment in hindsight, because it really hasn't hamstrung us, but it was a number that made him, you know, happy. And it's been an interesting ride in the last, you know, 6 years where we've been able to take it with him as a fourth quasi partner, even though he's no longer owns the business anymore.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I'd say it's going pretty well. I mean, Jimmy was no slouch doing 150 million while he was at the helm, especially, you know, 6-7 years ago. But here you are, guys, in 2020, look, you know, on pace to close $500 million, 1,500 transactions. I mean, that's a lot. So you guys have obviously done something well. You mentioned that when Jimmy like really started building the business, and I'm assuming it's true today and is true for the growth, but please correct me where I'm wrong. Like, you mentioned the builder piece of it. So like, you guys have relationships with builders around the Houston area, right? And that's the kind of big piece of your business as far as those relationships go?
Yeah, I mean, I joke around when there's, you know, business partners of ours that we're trying to help them grow their business and talk about our systems and processes and everything we do with lead generation and lead capture. And I joke with them and say that we do everything pretty poorly, but we do builder stuff better than anyone in the country. And I truly believe that. And we have some unique programs where we get referrals from builders. And a lot of times when you talk about builder programs, you hear someone just listing the home for a builder at a very nominal number, $50, $100, $500, 1% of the business. And they have these inflated numbers because they get a production builder that's, you know, selling 800 homes a year, and they get all their MLS listings. So we, although we started to do that in the last year or two because of those relationships we have, when I talk about builder business, it's, Kevin, you walk into a model home, you do not have a home to sell. You have a home to sell or a lease to be bought out, but you do not have a realtor. We are trying to get that builder to refer us the business. So we network with builders. We have these approved programs with these builders, and our whole system is around getting those referrals. So as you can imagine, it's a massive listing lead generation for us, because these clients are buying the new house, but they have a home to sell, and they can't buy the new house unless they sell their house. And so for us, these builder programs is the reason why we have a title company, because We carry 300 listings at any point in time. These leads we get from these builders are super, super warm because these builders are teaching, they're selling the programs for us. So a lot of times before we've even gone over anything with the client, we're already on the new home and the client is already telling us they're going to use us. And so these are inbound calls. If we miss a call, they'll leave a voicemail, we call them back and they call us right back. And so I joked that we tried to do Zillow leads way back in the day, and all my agents were like, I have to call the lead more than one time. And so these programs we have around these builder partners, they're the warmest leads you can get. They're the most predictable leads you can get. And if you don't know how to get listings, get sellers, there is no better lead generation, in my opinion, at least in our market, than having a partnership with a builder like we do.
All right, I got to ask this question though, Andrew, because you know, you mentioned, you kind of referenced earlier, and we all know that there's different agents who run different, I'll call it builder programs around the country. Like, you know, effectively sometimes working for free, sometimes maybe just above free. Like, is there really, like, when you start talking about getting a lot of listings and building this type of relationship with builders, like, is there really profit in that, or is this really just something to kind of puff up those stats to, you
Yeah.
know?
So yeah, that's a good question. And that's why I always caveat that we're not just listing their home at $50. We'll probably do, I think, about 8 million of GCI this year. And the three owners are out of production, mostly. I would say 99% out of production in the last year and a half. And we're running 30+% margins right now on that business. So it is profitable. Not every builder listing, when we do some of those what we call courtesy listings, those aren't profitable. And there is some fluff in our numbers with those builder courtesy listings. But when I talk about those builder programs that generate business, it's over 60% of our business, of that 8 million in GCI, is related to builder referral business.
So I guess to answer my own question, yes, because if we're looking at $8 million of gross commission income in a calendar year, and I think I heard you say 30% plus profit margin, right? Like those are big numbers, and they're not just, you know, those aren't just numbers that you're doing to basically gain market share in a certain city or town or subdivision. Like you're making money while you're doing it, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, everything around our business is not about the numbers. My dad was a top 10 Remax team for decades. So we've been a top 5 Houston Business Journal team for decades. So for us, whether we're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or number 1 at a brokerage, or 2 or 3 or 4, that we don't care about that. We've had that for many, many years. For us, every decision we make from the business perspective is how to grow our revenue and how to increase our margins. And we make every decision in our business on those two things.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned something else too, like you referenced a title company too. So you guys also started a title company a couple years ago now?
Yeah, so in Texas, listing agents or sellers pick the title company. And so because we've been such a big listing shop for so many years, my dad had ownership in a title company, very passive. But then once we took over, we scaled the business and started controlling more listings and more, more deals that we could go through our title company if the seller and the agents all were okay with it, and the clients. And so me and my sister started an independent agency. So we're not partnered with a underwriter, and it's our agency. We have some partners that we've partnered with at EXP. They have there's some shareholders in that and our title company through that as well. But we were able to start that title company purely because we control a lot of listings, and that business will do 4 or 5 million in revenue this year. So
So let me be really clear. Like, I just want to make sure, because I want to make sure I have my facts here, like, and I'm not, assuming the wrong thing. So how old is the title company? It's like 2 years old or something?
So we got licensed with TDI, January, Texas Department of Insurance. January will be our third full year once we get to January. So we're basically finishing up our third full year.
Okay, so closer to 3. So, I mean, what I like here, what I'm hearing, Andrew, is like I'm just kind of doing the math here in my head. Like when you guys took over and you bought the business from Jimmy, the business was already good. 150 million plus in volume. Obviously, doing a lot of transactions. But what I heard is you guys really focused in on that and built it up even more so. And then because you've built that core business so big, it's opened up another opportunity for you. Like in this case, we happen to be talking about a title company, right? Because you guys have just kind of gone in, and I think that's so important. So many times I see not just agents but other people and probably other industries too. They have some success and it's like, cool, I have some success here, I bet I could do these 17 other things too to make a little bit of money. And instead of just really focusing in on that core thing that really could grow much bigger before going out to the other things, they kind of just do it a little more mediocre. But what I heard here is you guys really dug in, built that sales volume up high, very high. In fact, I mean, 8 million in GCI, like that's enormous. And then, you guys now have the title company, which again is a couple years old, but still, my guess is that's doing pretty well. You mentioned the revenue numbers. I'm guessing the profit numbers on those are pretty good too. Um, have you guys opened up? Have you guys been able to do anything else because of this business?
Yeah, weirdly enough, and we're not guys like you mentioned that we want to do, make $10 here and get money from a home warranty company or anything like that. We have created these businesses because one, we're very entrepreneurial people. Two, we know how to partner with people and grow businesses. And what my dad and I have done in the last 5 months, and this is purely because of some relationships we have at the brokerage that we're at. We also started a hard money lending business about 5 months, I guess it's going on 6 months ago. And currently we have, in that period of time, we have 25 loans outstanding. So in that period, we've closed about one loan a week.
Jeez.
And having done a lot of lead generation, it's all that same sort of back to that same theme that we built our businesses on, is relationships. So in this particular example, there was someone that we partnered with at EXP, and they were a huge flip wholesale investor in Houston. And he was like, man, you guys need to look into hard money lending. And so we would help him on some deals. And then we looked into the business with him and he advised us, and we were like, man, there's a big need in our marketplace for a reputable hard money lender, private lender. And we saw the need in the marketplace, and it's been 6 months and it's taken off. We've hired our first full-time employee, which we thought we were just going to do it on the side. And so we've turned it into a real business, a very new business. It's only 6 months old, but again, if we didn't have those relationships and partners, I didn't even know 6 months ago what hard money lending was, to be honest with you. I didn't know what rates or terms or how they how they underwrote the deals or anything about it. But we had these relationships that were doing it, and we saw that what we were doing on the title side and the brokerage side and how they all just fed into each other. And so I'm getting a lot of deals where it's someone we've partnered with at EXP that is using us for hard money, and then they're using our title company. And obviously those are because we have relationships and these things feed off each other, but we also have to handle the business properly and have the right customer service and be honest. But all those, and I think that's the coolest part about real estate, is you find the right partners, and the sky's the limit. And the cool thing, and all these big boys that they created title and lending and surveys and all this stuff, they feed off the entire transaction process. And we figured out a way to do that in three different ways right now. And it's been awesome. I can't even imagine 2 years ago, even having a hard money lending business or having a title company that's at this size. We initially started title just to handle our own business, and now our title company only makes up about 30% of the Franklin team's business. And so now we're getting outside business, and it's turned into 3 different locations. So it's been a fun last 2 years for sure.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's pretty amazing. I think what I'm hearing too overall is, obviously, I mean, you guys aren't going about this haphazardly. You guys are very smart. First of all, you have great reputations, and you guys are great at building relationships with the right people and just doing good by people. No doubt about that. I guess, the question that comes to mind, Andrew, is, you mentioned kind of your builder system. I think you said you felt like you had the kind of the best system, if you will, in the country for working with builders. When you say system, like, is that like something like, could you teach me how to do it? And here I'm in Phoenix, obviously. If I said, hey, Andrew, I'm willing to do whatever you tell me to do. Like, I want to go down the path that you're on. Is that something that you could actually teach me how to do?
If there's production builders that are doing volume and they are friendly to realtors, we could absolutely teach you or anyone in other markets. And we've actually done it in Austin and San Antonio. And when I caveat those 2 reasons, the programs that I can teach anyone to do only work if there's a custom builder that's doing 20 homes a year, 30 homes a year. You're not going to get enough scale with that kind of builder where our programs make sense. You're also, the other thing I said was, if they're not friendly to realtors. So in Houston, 85% of new homes, a realtor ends up being on the new home contract. And so it is very friendly. And it's not just because the builders, it's just the way the marketplace is. Consumers, buyers of new homes realize that they can put someone on the new home contract and then they can get a discount or some break on the house they have to sell. And so builders realize, and it's not just a Houston thing, it happens in other markets as well. It doesn't happen in all markets. That's why I caveat that question, is that if they're friendly, if they're willing to put a realtor on the new home contract, if you have some value you can offer them on the sales side to get their home sold, these programs would work in every single market. And we have a system, playbooks, we have how to get financing, we have everything from A to Z where we could take someone and help them get builder business. We have 2 partners that we've done this in other markets. One are longtime partners. One is in San Antonio and one is in Austin. And both were very good producers, very good agents, great people. And they took our programs and it catapulted their business. Our partner in San Antonio will do 150 million this year. He's been the #1 realtor in San Antonio for 3 or 4 years straight. He'd been in real estate for 40 years. We've been a partner of his for about a decade, and he took our programs. We taught him how to do it. He took our programs and took his business to another level. Our Austin partner has been a partner of ours for many years as well. And we basically found him and built that relationship and told him the whole playbook, and it's taken his business to another level. And the only reason we did that in those markets was because we had builder partners in Houston that wanted us to bring our programs to Austin and San Antonio. We're like, Houston's a big market. We want to just grow it here, but they were good relationships of ours. And they saw so much success with our programs that we went and found the people and worked out a deal with them and been partners with them a long time. And so not only could we do it, I think it could really, catapult some people's businesses. But again, the builder has to have a friendly relationship with the realtor. And I know in every market, that's not really the case.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's true probably in most markets, but probably you're right, not every market. Um, something I just want to highlight for the listener is like your customers, your builders actually came to you. And they said, "Hey, can you help us out in these other places?" What I love is that you're smart enough to go, "No, I'm not going to do that, but maybe I'll teach someone how I do it." Right. I love that. Fred and I, like, dude, we would have just been like, "Yeah, let's go." And, it opened up down the street, or in your case, down the highway. So, that's really cool. So this is something that you could actually duplicate. I could take my system or my business, if you will, and start running your system and use it to grow. And I mean, I don't know, maybe one day open a title company too. Maybe, who knows, maybe hard money, et cetera. What I like though, is that you've got a way, you got processes and systems here for doing this.
Yeah, and we had honestly, we had no desire to take this to other markets until recently. I was in production until recently, going on, between me and my two partners, we are probably going on, 15 to 20 of these builder referral listings a week. Between, the three of us were, in a lot of breakfast and dining room tables at 7 at night and 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning and 9 a.m. on a Sunday. And so we didn't have the time to take it. My dad is the one that took it to San Antonio and Austin. And he's really been growing that piece. But now we have the time, we have the appetite, and we have the just the know-how. And we finally have some national relationships where we see the possibility. Before it's like, oh, we only know people in Texas, but we've been networking a lot more and joining a lot more masterminds and going to more conferences, and we get that question a lot. It's like, can you do this program in other markets? And we got the question so much that we started looking into it, looking at how we could actually do it and make sense for both sides, and we're excited about doing it. It's got to be the right partner, it's got to be the right situation, but there's a real desire to do that now.
That's really cool, man. And I for what it's worth, like, because again, like, we've known you now for quite a few years, and I mean, you guys are awesome people. You being are amazing partners. Um, I noticed that not just from mine and Fred's experience of working with you guys on some things, but also the other people around you. Everybody just holds you guys in such high regard and appreciates what you do for them, because it's clear to me you guys do go out of your way to help the people you're in business with and help the people that you're friends with, and make sure that that people have the help that they need. And that's something I just really appreciate you guys, that about you guys, I wanted to share with you.
Well, I appreciate that, and you and Fred could be better partners as well. So the feeling's mutual, and that's how my dad built a business, is doing things the right way, and focusing on the relationship rather than the transaction. And if you focus on the relationship, the transactions will work, and come and follow. And we just always kept that, whether it's title or anything we do. If we treat our relationship, our partner on the other side, better, and they're doing as good, if not better than us, in whatever arrangement we have, then they're going to stick around. And it's a lot easier to have a 10-year partner and an 8-year partner like we do in San Antonio and Austin with our builder programs than it is trying to find a new partner every year. And it's just smarter business to focus on the relationship. And everyone says that, but my dad has been doing that for 40 years, and we've sort of adopted that, and it's done very well for us.
Awesome. Well, it's pretty clear it's working for you guys. So, I wouldn't change that anytime soon. I know, and I know you won't. Very cool. Let me ask you this couple questions as we wind down, Andrew. Like, if I'm in another market, whatever, I don't kind of trying to pick out some state, Iowa, right? Let's say I'm an agent, I'm in Iowa, and I'm thinking about, I wonder if I could do that. Like, how do I know if this would be a good model for me? Like, is there some things you mentioned, like, okay, the builders have to be agent friendly, but beyond that, like, how do I know that? Do I just have to pay attention to certain things? Like, how would I know, like, man, maybe I should reach out to Andrew because I could run a business like this sometime.
I think if you, one, I think it doesn't work for a brand new agent, right? You need to have some kind of established business where you can go to these builders and say, I have a track record selling homes, and not to say that a brand new agent couldn't do this. But I think, I think you need to know that how to, get listings, how to control listings, how to price them, how to do all that sort of general, be a realtor kind of stuff. I do think that's important, because there is one of the programs that, if I have some individual sort of offline conversations, one of the programs we have is, if you don't sell the house, we'll buy it. And so if you've done one deal in your life or two deals, I think it's probably more for experienced agents. So I would say that. I would say you need production builders. I think if there's production builders, and what I mean by production builders is people doing some volume. If it's a mom and pop builder that's doing 10 or 20 homes, I just, and you don't know any production builders in your market, or you've never networked with them, or you have no relationships with any builder out there, maybe they're not in your market, it probably wouldn't work. But if there's some production guys in there, the publics, then, and you have some experience as a realtor, you have a team, because, and I'm not trying to say a brand new agent couldn't do this, but there's some systems and scale and running a team that are around this, right? We have employees that call on the builders, and we have some systems in place that if you're going to the listing, you're going, putting the sign in the yard, you're doing all the stuff as a one person realtor does, it might be hard to also spend the time to network with the builders, implement these programs, be able to finance these programs. And we actually can help with the financing. We finance the programs for our partners in San Antonio and Austin. So if you hear this and you say, oh, I can't buy the house if I don't sell it, we have a solution for that. But I think you do need some kind of scale to make these programs work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. Well, awesome, Andrew. I mean, first of all, like, I appreciate it, man. There's not too many people, first of all, that are, selling 1,500 homes a year, much less taking time out of their schedule to share how to do that with other people. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to share with us today. Before we wrap up, like, is there anything else you want to share, or something maybe I should have asked you, something we should make sure we talk about today before we go?
No, I think, a big thing we want to talk about builders and trying to grow this with partners around the country. And that's why we wanted to get on here. So I think we hit that. And if anyone wants to reach out, I'm very responsive on Facebook, or send me a message. And then our website is all over there. Just Google the Franklin team in Houston, and you can find us, and we'll definitely get back to you. But willing to help anyone that wants to get in it, has always wanted to get builder business, but doesn't know how, or has some obstacles in their their particular marketplace. We've seen everything in the builder world, and would love to share what we're doing. So
Awesome, man. It's super, super generous of you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us today, Andrew Franklin. Thanks so much, man.
thanks, buddy. Good
All
chatting
right.
with you.
We'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good one.